all the people, it doesn't matter from which country they are human.
To tourists, Athens seems another European capital. Restaurants are open, Greeks sip iced coffee walking in the sunny parks dominated by the Acropolis. But walk a little towards the center and you find thousands of immigrants who came to Europe in the hope of a better future and found a broken and hungry society, tortured by the worst crisis Europe has seen since its birth. Today, Greece is the gateway for 90% of undocumented migrants trying to reach Europe, where they look for a better life. There are no official statistics on illegal migrants, but it is estimated that there are 1 million migrants, both legal and illegal, within a country that has a population of only 10 million people. The Greek government deports large numbers of them every year, up to 22,000 in 2012. Today, though, some of them want to leave Greece.
The only humanitarian program that we can give to these people right now is the assisted voluntary return, because there's nothing else to do. Can they stay here illegally? No. Can they go to the rest of Europe? No. They cannot even survive here. So even if they want to go back home, you should give them the right way to go back home, not with handcuffs, but with dignity.
They are stuck. They cannot move. They came into the country. They have no possibility at all to move farther away towards Europe because it's not allowed. So the only possibility they have is to go back.
Tough immigration policies in neighboring countries, like Italy and Spain, the explosion of cruel wars in Afghanistan, Iraq and Syria, and Turkey's reluctance to regulate the immigration flow are all factors that directed hundreds of thousands of people towards Greece. A totally unique phenomenon is now taking place in Greece. Those migrants who were once attracted by the country, not only as the gateway into Europe, but also as a rich Western state, now want to be repatriated. The International Organization for Migration has created a voluntary repatriation program that helps immigrants to travel back to their original countries. But why are thousands of immigrants asking to go home? And by financing their travel, is the European Union really helping Greece with its immigration problem? Daniele Zdras is the head of the International Organization for Migration in Greece and has been the coordinator of the Voluntary Assisted Repatriation Program since late 2010.
I want to make it perfect, crystal clear that this is 100% voluntary return. You saw the people downstairs, they're queuing in front of our door. They come to us, we're not going to them. And what we offer them, a return with dignity and with safety.
The organization first provides undocumented migrants with paperwork, and once the police give the green light, put them on a flight and provide them with 300 euros for the first days of adjustment back home.
This year, we're planning to return by the end of June almost 10,000 people. It's a huge number. And I think this is the biggest number in Europe right now. Why? Someone would ask. 3 reasons. First of all, the financial crisis. They used to come in Greece, they could get somewhere in the black market a small wage job. Now it's very difficult to find one. Second, they also had a chance to go to other European countries. Not anymore. Third reason is that, don't forget that these people, 9 out of 10 are without documents completely undocumented. So you can imagine someone that has no documents at all is very vulnerable to any kind of exploitation. And in reality, if you come to think about his status, this person does not exist.
An unprecedented crisis, a controversial asylum system, and the constant fear of being abused and exploited are the 3 main issues immigrants have to face in their everyday life.
السوريين الذين بقوا في اليونان تعرضوا للسجن أولاً، تعرضوا للنوم في الحدائق في الأماكن العامة. هناك عائلات مع أطفال كنا نراهم في الصيف في أشهر الصيف في الحدائق العامة ينامون في الحدائق يفترشون الأرض مع أطفالهم.
It has been 4 years since Greece admitted its deficit was far higher than originally reported. Since then, the Greek government has been approving drastic cuts in exchange of loans from the EU and the IMF. These austerity measures have shredded every level of Greek society. Today, 30% of the population live at risk of poverty or hunger, and the unemployment level is at 26%. Despite austerity measures, Greece's debt has kept on rising. According to Petros Markaris, Greek novelist and economist, the government may have foreseen the disaster but pretended nothing was happening, with extreme consequences.
What happened in Greece is that the country collapsed in the course of 3 years, from 2010 to 2013. There is such a huge recession where jobs are not available, shops are closing, enterprises are closing, so it is becoming more and more unbearable to the average citizen. On the level of the immigrants, it's still much worse. I keep hearing from friends that the number of immigrants has increased. It's not true. The number of jobless people has increased.
Most immigrants came to Europe looking for safety, but the legal system does not allow them to be fully accepted in the country.
ممنوع الشغل في هولندا الا ما يكون معاك ورق هولندا، انما ورق يوناني لا. ليه مش عارف؟ ورق يوناني لا.
The European regulation fixing the terms for asylum claims is quite strict. Passed in February 2003, the Dublin II regulation establishes that asylum claim has to be made in the country in which refugees first entered Europe, and that they cannot move to another European country, or they will be moved back. Each year, thousands of migrants try to get into Europe, and Greece must alone examine all of their claims.
It is very difficult for somebody to become visible for the law here. Most people have the only choice that the law gives to make an application for political asylum. The law says that if somebody wants to lodge in an application, he or she goes to the aliens department of the police and they receive the application. This does not happen in Greece.
Joseph is 24 years old and came to Greece from the slums of Nairobi. He had been internally displaced because of a tribal war. His family was chased out of his home, and one of his brothers was shot by the police. He has been an asylum seeker for the past 5 years.
There are some Kenyans who their life is in danger. As I know about the refugee status, I've read some in the internet, and it said like if your life was in danger, personally, and if you could be considered. But when you go there, you find some people who I don't know their aim. It's like you come from Kenya, there's nothing bad in Kenya.
Each Saturday, the Greek government issues the PIN cards, a paper valid only 6 months, proving a registered asylum claim.
25, sometimes 22.
There's so many.
Yes.
A lot more than 20.
Yes.
Only 20 cards are distributed each week, an insignificant number compared to the total of people in the streets. At the Attica Alliance Police Directorate in Petrorali, hundreds of immigrants line up for 1 or 2 days so to ask for one. They come prepared to spend the next 48 hours in the queue. Many pay or fight for a position in the line. Many have been here every weekend for years.
Every Friday coming. We want to take Bangla people. Can you talk to him?
While these people are waiting during the night, there have been many incidents of bribing, of buying a front place in the queue. This is a matter that the police have provoked, and there has been also something like a mafia built around all this system. Because if somebody has no access, we'll try to find some other way, some dark way.
بس يعني أنا أعمل ورق من تحت يعني بالفلوس، من واحد عمله لي بالفلوس. فأنا ما أقدرش مثلا أتحرك أروح إيطاليا أو أروح السويد إلا ما يكون معايا ورق قانوني يعني أنا معايا في فلوسي وبنتظر يعني ممكن في الورق اللي أنا عامله بالفلوس ده ممكن يجي لي ستيكر ممكن ما يجيش ما أعرفش لسه.
The criteria according to which those 20 immigrants are selected among the others are unknown to those waiting.
The paper they give us here. This one is like, they tell us this is the only card which you have. You have to survive with this card. Because after some months you renew it, if you don't renew it, which expires, they don't need you again here. They can catch you, they can put you in cell, they can deport you.
Those who don't get the pink cards are left to face a scary reality for another week. Walking on the streets is dangerous for them. They risk detention and deportation, harassment and physical violence from the police and from extremist groups.
Greece does not have a functional and effective and a fair asylum system in place. It is very often that irregular migrants are detained once they enter the country as a matter of course, which means that they are not provided with the opportunity to submit an asylum application if they wish to. And this is a major violation of the international law.
Because of the economic crisis and the asylum system, migrants are then trapped in Greece with no possibility to leave nor to stay, and vulnerable to any kind of exploitation.
They are at risk of getting arrested in the context of these sweep operations conducted by the police. And in that case, they may get detained and then deported.
You're going to that job and they'll stop you and ask you, where the hell are you going? You tell them I have my paper, they'll tell you no, you have to come with me to the station, which takes hours to get cleared. You understand?
Since August 2012, the police efforts to catch illegal immigrants have intensified. The Operation Xenis Zeus, ironically named after the ancient Greek god of hospitality, gave police the power to check the papers of people who look foreign. We have also been stopped when filming police operations, and they deleted the clips they did not want to be shown. Police can stop immigrants anytime, handcuff and arrest them. It's a urban manhunt.
يعني مرة واحدة وقفوني وشافوا ورقي ومرتين وسابوني قالوا لي ورقي كويس وعادي ما فيش أي حاجة.
Those found without documents are sent to one of the immigrants' reception centers of the country. In 2011, the European Court of Human Rights found the conditions of this center to be inhuman and degrading.
Those prisons are worse than Guantanamo.
That's not a prison, they put them like rats.
We were directed to Amygdaleza, which is known as one of the better centers for illegal migrants. But even here, adults and children languish in detention for a prolonged period, in overcrowded and unhygienic conditions. Yunus Muhammadi, head of the Afghan community and of the Refugee Forum, brings us to Amygdaleza the day when authorities decided to extend asylum seekers' detention for another 3 months. A demonstration has been organized outside the center, and migrants have decided to go on a hunger strike under the risk of intimidation and beatings by the police.
Totally, it is about 27 months. 27 months. They are asylum seekers. They have not done nothing. Just they are asking, and they are here for asylum seekers. They are not criminals. Some of them, they don't want to ask for asylum because the policemen, they tell them that if you ask for asylum, you will stay more than 6 months. So because of the situation and also because of the violence that it is inside, so they said that it is better to return to a place even it is not safe in their country. So it is not voluntary returning. It is by force.
Racially motivated violent practices inside detention centers are often reported but never denounced.
There are numerous human rights violations committed by the Greek police, and this is a deeply systemic problem of justice in Greece. The perpetrators, the people who do exercise this violence, the members of the police, are not held accountable.
They hit the refugee inside the jail. We hear about some people, they hit him and, they didn't care, even the children.
Detainees are subjected to deep psychological abuse by the police, but has the government intervened? A number of reports allege strong support among the police for Chrysiavgi, an extreme right-wing party with populist and anti-migrant rhetoric that has taken advantage of the resentment amongst Greeks who felt abandoned by the last government's policies. Chrysiavgi, in English Golden Dawn, is the third party of the country.
It is very weird for us to see a person who doesn't know even one word in Greek, but he knows Χρυσή Αυγή.
Most of the members of Golden Dawn move in groups and use dogs to intimidate the migrants, harassing them, beating them, and sometimes killing them.
If I feel that these kind of groups are responsible for the return of the migrants, I said, no, they're not. And these people have suffered wars. They have been very difficult. They will never be afraid from groups like that. These people, they go back because there's nothing to eat and there's no jobs, not because they're afraid of the Golden. Of course they do attack, but they will not be afraid from these kind of extremists. No, I will not give them to that. No.
We are always scared. I mean, you can't walk alone because if they get you, they'll kill you. If they don't kill you, it'll be like, I mean, you'll stay in the hospital for the rest of your life, or I don't know. So we're also afraid of that.
They are trying to face this whole phenomenon with police terms, with security terms. This is an official opinion of the Ministry of Public Order, that we are talking about a national danger.
In the last 12 months, there were 88 racist attacks recorded. Half of them are connected with operations of extremist groups. Even though the number of racist attacks is higher, the victims are very often afraid of submitting a complaint to the police because they risk being arrested themselves.
In January 2013, there by the police. And this we are the people who comment about violence and racism.
If in the past 2 decades, much of the country's economic growth has been through the underpaid work of illegal migrants, that accounted for almost 30% of the GDP, today, jobs are not enough for everyone. In this situation, racism and exploitation find fertile ground.
Just telling this fairy tale of that the immigrants are stealing our jobs, which is not true. I mean, there are no jobs for anybody, and the Greeks are still not willing to do these, lowest paid jobs the immigrants are doing. So this is a fairy tale.
A person that enters Greece without papers will be vulnerable in all ways, from the boss, from anybody that takes advantage of the situation of a person that has no choices.
Like you go to the hospital, they don't treat you if you are a black person or an immigrant. I went to one of the hospitals, which I have the record. They told me they can't help me. They can't help me. And I was in a point of death.
Joseph, who had been working in a hotel in Rhodes between 2011 and 2012, contracted meningitis and tuberculosis because of the lack of food and the poor hygienic conditions in which he was meant to live. But no one cared about his health.
Because it was a black job, the boss told me not to say where I was working, to keep it a secret. He didn't care about my life, anything. He didn't care about at all.
The main route into Greece and the European Union is across the Evros River from Turkey. Many of the immigrants passing through that border are fleeing the conflict in Syria. The IOM does not deal with refugees because it cannot return them in their country. However, some of them want to go home.
So do you want to try to go back to Syria?
Yes. Because when I go out from Syria, I believe here better than from my country. That's not right.
In Greece, though, Syrians had not been treated as refugees until April 2013, when the Greek Ministry of Public Order has declared that no Syrian refugee will be detained or returned.
They didn't accept the refugee here.
For no one?
For no one. Even I tell you, they put you in the jail. When first they catch them, they put them in the jail. For 5 months, 6 months, people, they have over 11 months in the jail. He doesn't steal, he doesn't kill, he doesn't do anything, you know? He's a refugee for the war.
But until now, they were treated like illegal immigrants. Now they say they will change it. And the whole procedure was so absurd. They were accepted, and they had an order to leave the country within a week. Now everybody knew, the Greeks, they are not going to leave because it's impossible for them to leave. So they are playing this, silly and say a horrible game with the people until the European Union said, these are refugees, we have to deal with them differently.
While efforts have been made to align Greek immigration policies with European ones, the issue is not a priority in the country's political agenda, especially since the explosion of the crisis. Europe has tried to take over its responsibilities. 75% of the main IOM repatriation program is funded by the European Commission, and only 25% by the Greek government. Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein have separately donated 21 million euros to deal with humanitarian issues because of obligations set by the European Union. The IOM has in turn repatriated 800 people.
Ms. Bogardi, they don't pay money just for the country to have some perspective of jobs. Why should they pay for the immigrants? It's very clear.
Why UKBA though? Because this is another thing, because they do believe that it's safer and better to find the people here and return them than arriving in UK, for example.
They hit in the heart of the problem, I think they are trying. But there is a need of the immigrants to go back. I mean, they say, I prefer to die in my country, I prefer the war than this. They would never imagine such a humiliating condition. If you have dignity, in some cases you prefer the death than living without dignity.
What they are doing is, to get rid of immigrants in a very elegant way. That's what they are concerned with. That's the reality. The easy way out is to pay them, the return trip and get rid of them.
So is the program run by the IOM and the European Union the solution? Or does it offer the opportunity to take advantage of the desperation of others?
The only field that has a money income in Greece is the immigrants market. For the state, for everybody, for NGOs.
It's a huge business. Let's face it. Very bad business, but still a business. Like trafficking, like smuggling, like weapons and drugs and money laundering. All these are connected.
Under international law and the EU law, every country has the obligation to respect, protect and fulfill the human rights of all migrants. A fair and effective procedure to examine the cases of international protection claim is a human right that in Greece, Europe has failed to protect.
Who is going to take care about the protection of their rights? The state will not.
I'm fed up with hypocrisy. Wherever I turn and see, it's, hypocrisy. Europe knows what the problem is, but they don't want to help because they are concerned with the flow of Turks towards Europe. So they don't see, they look away. We know that we have a huge problem, we look away. Everybody is, acting the same way. If you are desperate, if you have no job, if you are stuck and cannot move away, and if you are met with such an aggressive, conduct, at some point you will start to defend yourself. And when we reach this point, Greece will become a battlefield.
Greece's burden is great and extremely hard to deal with alone. If as a winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, its role is to promote a model of stability, democracy and peace, then Europe still has a long way to go.